systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Oh, baby, no better day, no better time. Free Money Sunday. Happy week 4 to everybody out there. Joined by my man, Hoop. As always, new face down below, though. Ham, the man, the legend. If you need some free home run parlays, this is the man down here. Absolutely crushed MLB season all year. We'll get to those two in a second. I got to say hi to the people in chat, though. The real heroes out here. Sean Sullivan, Super Hua, Lone Wolf, Tyler, Notes, Jennifer, Scott, OG Genius, Jordan, Maddie C, Tom, Jay Steele, Kevin, Alex Hahn, Mike P, Go Collect, Jared, Jay, Ryan, Wins a Lot, The Realist, Adam, Bradley, Langley, Dominic, Takedown, Shepard, Tim, Cricket, Slick, oh my goodness, Gang, Philly, Nades, Jake, Kedlinen, Smarty, Gangrene, already said you. Snoop a lot, Mark Davis. I think I got every single person. That is a lot harder to do than it is on an MMA show or an MLB show. I'll tell you that for free. But now it's time to get to my man, Hoopster, week 4. A lot of the injury news, pretty much all of it already out of the way. 12 games on DK, 13 on FanDuel. How are we doing on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Yeah, chat's getting an early start today, and obviously appreciate all that support and everyone rolling in nice and early, getting ready for some NFL talk, and it's a great slate like you talked about. I mean, we got a full slate of games, and in terms of DFS, most of the injury stuff is already out there. I guess the one thing that we're waiting on would be Joe Mixon. There's kind of not conflicting reports. It's just kind of like a weird statement, like unlikely to play, but he's going to try to warm up. But good thing is it's a 1 Eastern game, so we're going to have that information hopefully before 11:30 enact is, but worst case scenario, we're going to know by 11:30 Eastern. So I'll kind of monitor that throughout the show, see if we get the news. But yeah, it's a good full slate. Looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. And yeah, like you said, we got our boy Ham here, so excited to talk some NFL with him here Sunday morning.
Yeah, Ham the man, stepping in for our man Tambo, who's been gone for the week at the President's Cup, enjoying life, touching some grass, as he put in Discord. Ham, very happy to talk some NFL with you. Do all the sports over here, NBA, MLB. You guys, if you're a SHIPIT Nation member or watch YouTube, know Ham, of course, does the NFL FanDuel Slate plan there as well. Has had a lot of success. Led Tambo to 100K last year using your content. Always love talking any sport with you, Ham, because you have your own takes. You can fade. I saw your tweet a little earlier. You hate a chalky running back today. You have your own takes that sometimes very few agree with. Like, I always love talking sports with someone like that. How are we doing, Ham? Welcome.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Love being here. It's excited to be here. It's going to be a great day, I think. We're celebrating an anniversary too, right? And so I hope would know better than me. But hey, Seahawks at the Lions, wasn't it week 4 a couple years ago? And we got it again. It's on Monday, but I think it's going to be a great day. Same, I can't wait talking with you guys. There are a running back that I am going to be fading today. Don't really like him, so we'll talk about it when we get here. But excited to be here, and going to be a great day for us.
Absolutely, it will be. So let's see. A couple other people. People like getting their name shouted out, so I'm going to say the other ones right here. Matt, Dino, PD, Matthew Taylor, Mark, Bring the Noise, Rick, Ryan, Johnny, what's going on? Andy Hoyman, what's going on? Matt. Definitely smash that like button. Hey, Tambo's not here. That does not mean the like doesn't go away. I don't want to get yelled at by the boss. Coming back on Monday, this show didn't get enough likes. So 2-second timeout right away. Like button helps us out a ton. Jay says, title on the juice. Must have hit the workbench already. No. So funny story, Jake. I'm in Wisconsin right now at a wedding, flying back tomorrow. That means I have a 2-hour window. Instead of a 6:45 a.m. show and the gyms are always closed, I was able to get up and hit the gym, hit the steam room, so I am ready to rock, and that is a great, great feeling. So, hey, that helps bring a little more energy. Jared in here, G-Butt, solid picks, Justin, Kenny, Brian, Dana, I think I got them all. Badlands, the Black Clover. If I missed you, I'm sorry. We could be doing this show the whole hour saying people's names. Really do appreciate every single person out here watching, though. Hoop, I'm going to get your first initial thoughts on the slate. Obviously, what I like to do, look at team total or over-unders, team totals, etc. Pretty light for a 12-game slate. There's no doubt about that. The one game, Arizona and Washington. And I do think that leads the two highest quarterbacks on the slate, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray. A lot of injuries, though. We could go through them all, like A.J. Brown. Doesn't look like Joe Mixon's going to play. So many injuries. Tank Dell. Plethora at every single position. When we go game by game, we'll talk on it. But roster construction, team totals, interesting dynamics. What do you see initially on week 4?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that definitely stands out to me is it's kind of a week unlike any other in terms of the running back position. I mean, just endless number of options to play at running back at multiple price points. I mean, differs a little bit site to site, but man, there are so many dudes you can play at running back today. And we probably get another one too with the Joe Mixon news likely to come out here at some point. Again, the worst case scenario, it's going to be 11:30 Eastern when then inactives hit. But Cam Akers, who sucked, I mean, he was awful last week. Do we go right back to him this week is kind of the big question. But there's a ton, and that's why Ham was kind of talking. There's one he doesn't like. Well, that's the beauty of the slate. If you don't like some of these guys, you can easily fade them, and you're going to have another guy right at the exact same price point or within a couple $100 that you can play and probably get leverage on. So that's the one thing that stands out. Wide receiver, like no one wants to really play the top end guys at wide receiver, which I think is a very interesting dynamic on the slate. Like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, relatively like low owned. I think that's definitely interesting. The one thing that's definitely going to happen because of all the running backs is you're going to see, even on DK, where in the past we've seen people go into more 4 wide receivers instead of 3 running backs. Today, that's coming all the way back to 3 running backs for sure as the common build. So if you do play a tight end or a wide receiver in the flex, probably going to be a little bit different in terms of roster construction. So those are a few things that definitely stand out. There's 2 premier games on the slate in terms of fantasy options. Washington, Arizona, and then I think a lot of people end up getting to Cincinnati and Carolina as the secondary game. But outside of that, yeah, a lot of just like middle of the road totals, as the kids say, just mid.
Just mid. Great breakdown, though. A couple things that I think are important. 3 running back day, as Kevin asked. I do think, as Hoop mentioned, running back, just like last week, will be very heavy in the flex. So know that. It always is on FanDuel. DraftKings the past 2 years has kind of mixed and matched. Some weeks really cheap tight ends, some weeks 4 receivers. Does look this week a lot more going 3 running back. And yeah, the Justin Jeffersons of the world, the Saquons of the world, it's going to be more of a mid-tier build, it looks like. So if you do want to jam in any of them, I always like Jefferson. As you know, we'll go game by game. Helps you get on a little different build. And then most going Jaden Daniels, Kyler, the chalk QBs. If you go all the way down at QB, save money. That makes it easier to jam in some of those studs. Ham, bring you in. I know you you play more on FanDuel, but you do play on both sites. If you want to touch any differences you see on both sites, your initial thoughts on this week 4 slate.
Yeah, now Hoop did a great job of breaking it down. I mean, there's tons of running backs to play. The one difference, obviously, on FanDuel is you have that late night game, which, a couple good plays on that. I know we're going to mainly talk DraftKings, but tons of good running back plays. And if you want to fade those, you certainly can. I'm with Hoop as well, though. I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, your boy, nobody's playing them. And big news, too. I know we're waiting on the Joe Mixon news, but Jair Alexander, he showed up on the injury report on Friday. If he sits, he's, for the most part, had Jefferson's number. If he sits, I'm seeing 5% ownership is what we're showing on Jefferson right now. If he sits, I'm going to bump him up. But really looking forward to it. And the running backs, I think it's a 3 running back type day on both sites. And yeah, so I think you can do that for sure.
I like it. We're going to go game by game first. Lay the house. Glad everything going well with you. I've been seeing the Discord out there in Florida, the Carolinas. Yeah, stay safe out there, everybody. Crazy, crazy weather. All hail the Stone. Super says, worth the membership alone. We will be going with the Stone, going game by game, talking through it again. This is just one piece of the premium content. I know some members might be like, why are you showing it off? Maybe when Tambo gets back, he won't have it. Like last week, he'll get a certain number. It makes my life easier as a host going through it. And it just has everything you need. You get the projection, the ceiling ownership, the FanDuel projection right there, the optimal leverage based on the ownership. And I love this new addition right here, the run pass, their how many offensive snaps, their snap share, their targets per game, their rushes per game. Now that we do have more data this year and can use it, we added this to the zone. Shout out to editor, DGen, everybody over here. One-stop shop. And we have it. NFL, as you see, PGA, MLB, MMA. This is something we have for all sports. Again, one-stop shop place. I saw people asking about cash locks and all that. We have a cash report right here on both sites. Hoop and I do a show every Friday, a GPP core report if you want to see Hoop, Ham, Tambo's thoughts. But again, the more stuff, value report from our man Scarface. We mentioned the Stone, projections, ownership. This will be out next week. Very excited. Or DVP will be out next week when we have a little more data. Very excited for that. Sack rankings, we're not going to show off all the premium content. DK for Tambo, Ham for FanDuel, Hoops player pool right here. And the Slate plan does go through, again, their thoughts, how they're going to approach the slates. Great stuff. FanDuel, DraftKings right there. No better place to be. No better spot to be. Shiptimizer too. I wanted to add that. You don't need to have the Shiptimizer. That is another package right there. Here, let's bring it all the way up quick, actually. Then we're going to go game by game. ShipANation.com. Join the nation right here. It'll make it easier so you can see. All access, our best deals for all the sports. And there is no better time to get all the sports. NFL is going, PGA is going, MLB is going, MMA is going, college football is going. NASCAR is still going today. I saw the quick hit from the game. Shout out him. Next thing you know, NBA and NHL will be back. Annual 6-month monthly. All include the Discord, as you see. Weekly does not. If you want to add the Shiptimizer, $10 more per week, $30 more per month. We have all kinds of tutorials. We have our own piece in our Discord, constantly making it better. As you can see, our own optimizer over here. You go to other sites, you will be spending 4 times the amount as you will be over here, sometimes even more at spots. If you just want a single sport like football, we have all the options right there with the Shiptimizer. And if you just want projections ownership, you can also see that right here. So join the nation right there, as you can find all of our packages. No better time to get over. Join the nation. Week 4, free money Sunday. Let's get into it. Who? Saints and the Falcons starting it off. Looks as we see right here, we have no designation on this game. I do think when you look at ownership on the Saints side, it's going to be pretty low owned. Kamara's been a monster coming off a pretty, I would say, a down game last week, especially at ownership. No doubt about that. But running back's loaded, and that's why he will be kept in check. As you can see, cash consideration. I'm not going to get there myself. I like Breece Hall in that range. Think he's a good tournament play, though. Other side, 3 pretty popular plays. Bijan, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. Throw it to you. What are you doing in this first game in a dome?
Yeah, hell of a breakdown in the opening there in terms of our content offerings. Our boy Tambo better watch his back, man. You're calling for that top spot. That was a good breakdown there to get things started. Let people know what we're all about over here at ShipItNation. In terms of the plays in this game, the Saints and the Falcons, I don't know. It's just like a bunch of guys I'm semi-interested in, like nothing that stands out as like I have to have it type plays, like both running backs, Kamara, Bijan Robinson, like in play. I do think their ownership numbers do come in lower than that. Like even Kamara at 10, I'm guessing it's probably 7-8 range. Robinson's probably, I don't know, I'd say probably closer to 10 just because there's so many running back plays. We're going to talk about every game. For the most part, there's a running back that you can play, and some are definitely going to be much more popular. These guys are priced right around Breece Hall, like you talked about, who will be more popular than both these guys for sure. And then it's like, are people playing 2 spends at running back? Probably not, because of the value that's offered up there. So I will have exposure to both. It's just a matter of how much. I mean, either of these guys could break the slate today at what I think is low ownership. Wide receiver plays. Olave popped up on the injury report. Sounds like he is going to play. Moderate interest there, a little bit in Shaheed. I mean, they're clearly trying to get Shaheed more involved. Last year, it was just like a couple bombs here and there, but he's part of the game plan for sure this year. So I don't hate him at 5,500 on DraftKings. I think he's a fine option. On the other side, Drake London, we have me and you title have a checkered past with Mr. Drake London, but little more consistency this year. Obviously, with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, you can kind of bank on a little more production. The targets are going to be a little bit better than they've been in the past. Moderate interest there, but probably my favorite play, I guess, in this game would be Mooney. He's very active in this offense. The game that they came back on, the primetime game, like it was all to Mooney. He was getting wide open, still cheap at $4,400 on DraftKings, 57 on FanDuel. Don't love that as much, but the 44 on DK, I think, represents a solid value. So he's probably, obviously I like Kamara, I like Bijan Robinson, but he's probably my favorite play when you factor in salary at 4,400. So I guess long story short, for me in this game, just a bunch of, I'm not going to be like way overweight on any of these guys. Probably end up with exposure to most, but it's going to be, moderate, mid exposure. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I like it. Another thing I wanted to add right here, the numbers, like the Saints, their pass defense, D. How do you read that? D is very bad. A lot better against the rush at B. Go to the other side, B, D minus the Falcons are on the ground. So I actually like the Falcon side because I'm going to play some Kirk Cousins. After week 1, it was Statue City. He definitely has gotten the ball out faster. He's impressed me. It's easy, though, because you can play Bijan with him. Plenty of check down, dump down upside there. Drake London, easy pairing. Darnell Mooney, easy pairing. Ray McLeod, I don't think it's the craziest thing in Kirk Cousins stuff. If people do really punt all the way down below, I think guys like Trey Tucker will be a little more popular. 84% of snaps, just all 3 receiver stuff. 11 personnel is what they run. 84%. He's going to be pretty low owned, 3,700. And then Kyle Pitts, man, I really hate to do it. In Kirk Cousins stuff, he will be involved in my script, but 5,800, not bad at all. 62 for London feels cheap. 44 for Mooney if you want to add in Ray or Pitts. And then again, Bijan's a part of it. I just think there's a lot of options the Falcons can go. Makes doubling Kirk Cousins, double stacking, maybe even triple if you had Bijan in there in play for me. Harder for me to get to Carr stuff. How do you see it, Ham, Falcons, and Saints?
Yeah, I would love to play Bijan in this game, but man, they're missing 2 starting offensive linemen. Same thing with the Saints. They're missing their 2 best offensive linemen. So, people in the chat are talking about the defenses. Don't hate that, but the Saints are also missing Demario Davis. Which is crazy to say that this is his first game he's missed in 13 years. And what happened when he went out of the game last week, Title? Saquon took it to the house for 67 yards. They had that Eagles team bottled up for the entire game. Saquon hit that home run in the 4th, and then Dallas Goedert got loose down the sideline once he went out of the game. So I think that Demario Davis being out really helps Robinson. I just wish he had those 2 offensive linemen. It's Robinson only for me and a couple teams for the Falcons. I'm not going to get to any Saints. Derek Carr, no rushing upside. The best 2 offensive linemen are missing. I think Matthew Judon in that defense can pressure them. Only $3,300 on FanDuel. I think $2,600 on DK. So I like the Falcons defense better than anything on the Saints side.
I like it. Great breakdown with Demario Davis. Yeah, when he came out, Saquon just right up the middle. Next thing, and they were getting stifled all night there, so they got loose a lot. Awesome shout on that. Good morning, Mark F. Let's have a week indeed. Millie Maker winner, Mark F. Let's move to the next game. I'm going to go right back to you in this one, Ham. Bengals and the Panthers. 5-point favorites are the Bengals. Pretty high team total in this one for them. This game total high as well, sitting at about 47. Looking at ownership, Bengals side, yeah, nothing too crazy. Like Moss will get some, Chase, Burrow, whatever. Not crazy though. This is what I want to point out, and I'm going to throw it to you. Deontay Johnson, 56 on DK, 6,200 on FanDuel. Massive QB upgrade, obviously, with Andy Dalton over Bryce Young, which showed last week. Was drafted very highly this summer. He's too cheap. There's no doubt about that. However, there's a lot of receivers on this slate, Ham, like there always is on Sundays. Is Deontay Johnson chalk worth eating? Is it something like full point PPR on DraftKings you like a lot more than half point on FanDuel? Talk a little bit about Deontay to start, Chuba Hubbard getting some as well, and then anything else in this game.
Yeah, Bryce Young made a lot of money when he got drafted. I hope he saves some because he's not going to be playing for the Panthers anymore. That guy goes out and all of a sudden the Panthers put up 38 points last week. Andy Dalton, obviously in his 2 starts with the Panthers, one this year, one last year. Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen have done very well. Obviously, Thielen being out this week We saw what Deontay Johnson did with him in the lineup for much of the game last week. I think Deontay Johnson is great chalk to eat, especially on DK where you get a full PPR. 20%. What do we have? Almost 21% ownership. I think it comes in a little bit higher than that. He's going to be a cash game lock on both sides, in my opinion. But I still think that's good. I mean, look at the guys that you have to throw to behind that. Leggett and Mingo would kind of be the biggest two. Tommy Tremble is more of a blocking tight end. I think Deontay Johnson gets peppered with targets. So I definitely think that's great chalk. I think Leggett and or Mingo, if you're stacking Dalton, would be good plays too. Obviously, dirt cheap. Mingo 3,300. With those guys, we just don't know who's gonna be that wide receiver too. So I would focus on Deontay. I think Chuba Hubbard's a great play in this matchup. Hoop talked about it earlier, but this is going to be it's crazy to say this, but it's going to be the second most concentrated game, in my opinion, as well, right behind that Arizona game. I think the Panthers come in chalky. We saw what Jaden Daniels did to this Bengals defense on Monday night, and I was in Hoop's camp. Like, I didn't think Jaden Daniels had that in his bag, and he just went out there and obliterated the Bengals. I think Andy Dalton is better at this point in his career as far as a pure passer. And then on the flip side, no one passes it more than the Bengals do. Joe Burrow is really popping over here in our stuff. So I like Joe Burrow. A similar story to nobody playing these high-end receivers. I think Jamar Chase is in another blow-up spot coming off a 2 TD type game on Monday night. They got to get him the ball. T. Higgins finally, back healthy. I like Zach Moss. I'm going to butcher his name, but Yoshi Voss down there. I think they're all great plays. Yeah, there we go.
That was perfect.
I thought I was going to butcher his name for sure. But, I think this game's a great game. I think you can onslaught this game, right? Take the quarterback and pair him with 2 or 3 guys. I really like this game as well because most of these totals, as you all well know, were in the high 30s, low 40s. So you're going to have to find some games that can blow up, and I think this is one of them.
Great breakdown for sure, and I'm in agreement. I think the Burrow stuff, you can go Chase, Higgins, Yoshi Voss, Gesicki. Panther side, Dalton. You can throw Chuba in there, Deontay, Leggett, Mingo, Tremble. Both of them relatively, no one's really playing Dalton that much. We see 10% Burrow. Hoop, good segue to throw it to you. You always say, who cares about quarterback ownership? So Do you like either of these two spots?
Yeah, it remains true. It just really doesn't matter all that much. People will always talk about it, and it's just not. It shouldn't be a talking point. It always gets spread out, and even if a guy's popular, he's never popular to the point where you need to fade him. The 2 highest owned are probably in that Washington Arizona game, but again, it's not to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, they're 40% owned, I can't play them. It's just not the case. Quarterback always gets spread out. You see it here in this game. It's a really good spot, I think, for both of these quarterbacks, especially on definitely prefer much more on DK versus FanDuel, I'll say, for a couple reasons. Number one is we have that the Sunday night game with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen on FanDuel. So, if you want exposure to those guys, it's just 2 more playable quarterbacks, and the price tags aren't as good on FanDuel. But on the Bengals side, I think this is a really good point from Brandon. Higgins seems like the best player. He's going to be low owned, and you want to kind of get these guys before the ownership starts ticking up, before the price tag starts ticking up. And one big game from T. Higgins, the price is going way up. So just to kind of bring it back to the Bengals, I talked about in the opening where so many running backs and whatnot, no one wants to play these high-end wide receivers. Jamar Chase coming off a monster game. What were the exact numbers? I'm going to pull it up. He kind of went off, and this offense is clearly, 118, 2 touchdowns, 32 fantasy points. This team is not playing well. Obviously, they're going to want to win. I just think they pass the ball. They're just going to be they need to go with what has worked in the past, and it's passing the football. Yes, Zach Moss has been fine. They're not going to feed Zach Moss. Joe Burrow has been on a ton of Millie Maker winning teams, over the course of the last few years. They'll just go straight to the pass and not even look to run. I think it could be that sort of game from the Bengals. Burrow's ownership in check. Jamar Chase, like we talked about, no one really wants to play these. Last year, these high-end wide receivers were seemed like 20, 25% every single game. This year, we're just not seeing that. So Jamar Chase at 10%, potentially even lower. I'm in on that. I'm in on Higgins. I'm in on Yoshi. And then you have a tight end as well tight end's kind of weak today when you really look at it. There's not a ton of viable options. So give me Gesicki, who they're using a lot, and in the red zone too. So I think the Bengals passing offense is in a really good spot. And then if you are playing 150, like make sure you put Moss in there too, because maybe it's not the passing. Maybe they do find success running the ball. So if you're building multiple lineups and you're in on the Bengals passing stuff, definitely include Zach Moss in the mix. He will, another guy, there's just so many of these guys that just have to have their ownership really in check. You know, we're showing 10%. I think it could be lower than that, especially if we get Cam Akers in the equation. Panthers side, go ahead. Yeah.
No. Sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And then the Panthers side, like, man, Bryce, like you said, Bryce Young, it just a world of a difference. This offense was able to move the ball. Andy Dalton, he's not just like a random backup quarterback. It's like, all right, can this guy do it? He's had success in this league running offenses. I think it can continues here today. Obviously, no Thielen, but man, he's going to pepper Deontay Johnson. In terms of he's going to be owned. We're showing like 20. It could probably even get higher than that. It could be 25%, but I'm with Ham. I think it's like a good situation. Like I just can't imagine he's going to get peppered, and especially if they're playing from behind, it all adds up. I think Chuba Hubbard is a phenomenal play today, coming off a monster touch game. I mean, had 20 carries, 5 or 6 receptions. I think he's in a really, really good spot, and ownership obviously in check, like we talked about. You can play, Tremble if you want as a cheap tight end. Mingo, I think, is a fine cheap wide receiver. This game is just a very appealing game. Yes, a couple pieces are going to be owned. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, people look at this game and they're like, all right, yeah, if I'm not playing Washington, Arizona, I want to come to this one. But it's not to a point where you have to get worried about ownership. There's low-owned plays that you can go to in this game. Just overall, a very appealing fantasy game with a plethora of options. Yeah,
it's the second highest team total on the slate, again at 47, right behind the Washington Arizona game, and there's so many options. So one thing before we get to the next game I wanted to point out, so we do also have our stack ranking, and I'm not going to pull it up, but the ranking is listed. As you see, Falcons, Panthers, Bengals look really good compared to Saints all the way down at 5.87. We're going to get to Rams at 6, Bears at 7.3. So these three right here, I like some Falcons. I'll be playing all three of these stacks a little bit. Now what stands out, though, rushing defense for the Bengals, a D minus for the Panthers. Chuba, obviously, but the Zach Moss is what stands out the most, and I like it. High upside at 5.9. I think Chuba's higher owned at 5.7. I think Najee's higher owned at 5.6. Brian Robinson probably higher owned at 6.1. Cam Akers a little cheaper at 5.3. Just a million running back options where Zach Moss can't be played much. I mean, if they win by 5, one of the highest team totals on the slate, why couldn't Zach Moss go 102 on the ground and then just be all you need? And then I wouldn't play any of the Bengals. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing some Bengals stacks, plethora of options with them. When I don't play them or I play Panthers, I think Zach Moss would be my favorite piece in that game then if I'm not going Burrow stuff as much. Ham, I'll let you, anything to add to that game? I know you wanted to, and then if not, take us to Rams and Bears.
Yes, and I just wanted to touch on this I mean, someone asked, can you pair Dalton, Johnson, and Hubbard? I know they asked you. I personally think you can, because you're getting basically all the touchdown upside, and you're going to get all the touchdowns, and they're all relatively cheap. Listen to you guys and Tambo especially. Just you're basically locking up the end zone at that point with that hope, and you're going to build with that game script.
And he can catch passes out of the backfield, as we see. 3 targets right here.
He had 5 last game.
Yep. So you definitely can do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, good call.
Bears, Rams. What you got for us, Ham?
Yeah, I mean, this is another game. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is a terrible real life quarterback, right? You listen to this show every week, and I get to hear all Hoops takes on the terrible Kyler, terrible and everything. And I think Caleb Williams is right there. But I mean, we saw last week if he passes it 50 times, naturally he's gonna get he's gonna rack up some yards. And their offensive line, I don't know if it's the offensive line, I don't know if it's DeAndre, but they can't run the ball either. They got 3 really good wide receivers and a very serviceable tight end in Kmet. They should just pass it every down, or at least 70% of the time. We're showing Caleb, great upside. Him and DJ Moore, Keenan Allen's coming back. Adunze. I mean, they all have great prices. I think the Bears offense today, with the fact that they can't run, And if you look back at the Rams defense, I mean, Jawan Jennings, it was a St. Brown week 1. I mean, their pass defense is just atrocious. I think Caleb Williams is a great spot today. I would stack him with 2 of his pass catchers. Can he run? Yes. Has he done it so far this year? No, he hasn't. But I think, he can get 250 plus and 2 TDs as well. And at that price, I think he's paying that off. On the flip side, you're really playing Russian roulette with those wide receivers. We saw Tutu had a decent day last week. Demarcus Robinson is on the field every snap, so I don't hate Demarcus Robinson. And then Kyron Williams, I really like Kyron Williams. I mean, that game last week that they obviously won, I think he touched the ball like the first 10 times, whether it be running or receiving, and they're just going to feed him. And I wrote it up in the slate plan this week. I mean, for a punt returner, he's doing a hell of a job at running back. I mean, no one's talking about him being a punt returner anymore. So it's like, 7,300 is a great price on DK, even 8,100. I think he's a cash consideration myself. He's just going to touch the ball a lot. And as long as they're keeping it competitive, Stafford's not going to run. I think he's going to touch it a bunch. He would be the only Ram. But I really like Kyron. I really like the Bear stacks today.
And when you were saying Jawan Jennings, it got in my head. I don't know how many people out here, over 700 watching, some will get it, but the Greg Jennings, when he broke his leg on YouTube, any of you two? Are you too old to remember? Yeah, neither of you two know. All right.
Old to remember. What's
age
discrimination?
Hey, people were calling Hoopster an old man last week at the blackjack table.
That did hurt. I'm not gonna lie. That did hurt a little.
Say, hey, old man, right? And we were looking around.
I started looking around. Yeah, it did hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about it throughout the week. I was like, man, so
I know you
obviously just turned 40, and did we tell the story last week or
no? We didn't.
Yeah, so it's quick story time. So met up with Title last weekend when I was in Arizona. We hit the bars for a little bit. Went to the casino after, and we're at this table, and it's me, Title, and people were coming in and out. We're actually doing pretty well at the time, and this it had to be like a bachelor party. I don't know, they're probably mid-20s, I'd say, or so, and these kids were just doing dumb shit. What was the bet? It was like you could bet on
Hoop was trying to get them to the Buster bet or whatever. The dealer's going to bust.
Yeah, so you can bet on the dealer to bust. And these kids were, I don't know, they didn't know blackjack all that well. So just put it on the Buster thing. Just keep putting on the Buster thing. So this kid just kept doing it, and it kept hitting. He won 2 or 3 in a row. So he started to get dusted off, and he looks over. I think he had $100 left. He goes, "I'm putting my bet on with the old man." I start looking around. I'm like, "Fuck, is he talking to me?" And sure as shit, he hands me his chips. I was like, "You motherfucker!" I said, "You calling me the old man?" And he goes, well, yeah, you're probably the oldest guy here. And I was like, well, that part's probably true, but not old man status. So put it on my bet. I think I had bet 100 too, so it's 200. I was actually hoping for the loss just to get this kid the fuck out of there, and it did lose, and ended up leaving. I was like, Title, and I said, did he call me old man? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, you are kind of like the oldest guy at the table. I was like, all right, I respect that, but old man status is not appropriate at the table.
It took him to the heart. You could tell he was old fucking man. All night he was talking about that. It was too good for sure.
I'm never hanging out with you two then, because I'm older than Hoop, man. I'm not.
Yeah, man. It's a tough scene with these youngsters, man. No respect nowadays.
Hey, you said these 20-year-olds rolled up. That's Title, man. That's Title and Nate.
Well, I know, and then I realized it's I view Title as older than these kids, but I was like, man, those are his.
Those are my age.
Yep. People.
So yeah, so I'll go right back. Yeah, you two are too old to know Greg Jennings with the broken leg. I know a lot of the people out here, though. Some people knew it, but. All right, Hoop, what are you doing with this Bears-Rams game? Not much appeal for me in terms of stacks on either side, really. I don't like this game.
Yeah, it's I told my story, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet in regards to this game. It's just going to be like Kyron Williams, and that's it. I think he's yeah, man. When you hit 40 and it is classified as old man status, it doesn't feel good. I'm telling you, it hurts a little bit. But it's just going to be Kyron. I think he's a good play. If the Rams have it right, if the Rams are doing what they want to do, he's going to get a ton of touches. If they're playing with the lead, they just want to, they're fine shutting down the game, and it's all Kyron Williams. I think he's a good play at a running back position where there's 20 really good plays.
Yeah, I like it. So thank you, Tyler. And what's going on, man? Always good to see you in here. Nades, Mixon is out, so
That's big. Yeah, that's big. Yep. And it, just another running back to add to the mix in Cam Akers, who their team's in a really good spot today at home against Houston. Does the field have time to react fully to the news and get Cam Akers to higher ownership than what we might think? We'll see.
If you need a shitty running back, definitely add in Cam Akers to your player.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel great, but I'm putting it in right now.
Yeah. All right. A couple people said my mic's louder. Probably I'm screaming, so that's definitely not me. I did try and turn it down a little bit though. So tell me, go collect if that's all right. But yeah, you guys got me. Hardest hitting safety in the league. How do we ever forget? I love it. Plenty of people got the reference. All right. Let's keep it going. Next game. Tell me if my mic is better. Oh, baby. I'm going to go to you in this one, Ham. Vikings, Packers. Aaron Jones' revenge game is what I'm most excited for. He will get, someone asked me, it should be the warmest of all warm welcomes for Aaron Jones. I would be shocked to hear one boo in Lambeau Field. The absolute man is Aaron Jones. Hey, Josh Jacobs has been pretty good as a replacement, though. Jordan Love, the big story, is playing this week. Very, very interesting. I mean, we're not here as coaches. We're talking DFS. So whether you agree with the decision not to, Malik Willis absolutely balled out. If they're playing Jordan Love, I'm assuming he is good to go. Are we getting the Packers stacks? It's pretty cheap. And then I want to point out this price tag too. 5.1K Romeo Doubs on FanDuel. Jaden Reed only 6'3". Watson 5'6". They do feel underpriced, but more so on FanDuel than even on DraftKings. Then, of course, go to the other side. We talked Aaron Jones. Justin Jefferson probably will be gritting in the end zone at some point, too. What do you see?
Yeah, this is one of those games. I mean, I'm obviously looking forward to it. Should be a great real-life game. But, yeah, we're here to talk DFS. And, yeah, that Aaron Jones coming back home should be a warm reception. The thing that I like about the Packers is that we know he's been doing it all season is I'm drawing a blank on the DC's name for the Vikings, but he's going to bring the house often. And so that, it's going to leave Jaden Reed one-on-one. And we saw week one when he had Jordan Love. I mean, he was, had over 100 yards and was a great play. I like Jaden Reed today against this blitz-happy defense, against Brian Flores-led defense. So I think Jaden Reed's in a great spot. 6,300 is a great price, especially on FanDuel. Don't mind Jaden Reed. And then it would be Justin Jefferson on the other side. Only for me, I think this Packers defense, it's worse against the run. So I think Jefferson, especially if Jair Alexander is out, I really like Justin Jefferson at that point. The thing with Aaron Jones that I don't like, and that you'll see there, he's only playing, that says 59% of the snaps. They just factor in Ty Chandler way too much for my liking. And at those prices, I can get running backs that are going to see 75, 80% of the snap share. He was very efficient last week against the Texans. He's going to have to do that to pay off those price tags. So it's Jaden Reed and or Justin Jefferson for me in this one.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to be in on Aaron Jones. I totally agree with you. You wish he could play more. The problem is he can't because otherwise he's injured every other game, it feels like. But when he gets the ball, I mean, he's explosive. And it feels like if there's ever a game to boost that snap share up a little more, feels like today's the game. And again, a lot of PPR upside, 4.7 targets per game. I always manually bump Jefferson. I'm playing him and Jones, pretty much it on the Viking side. Packers more interesting. I'm going to throw it to you on this. Jaden Reed, so without Jordan Love gets injured week one at the end of the game, but Jaden Reed won Big Marley all the cheese. That connection with Jordan Love, how they move him around was absolute money. Are you going right back to Jaden Reed? Anything else in this game for you?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that definitely stands out is the game overall becomes much more appealing with Jordan Love at quarterback, and you have to assume that he's somewhere very close to 100%. They're not going to risk it and just throw him out there. So, he's a quarterback. Like, I have pretty much my player pool set. He's like a quarterback I'm considering adding in just because of the other pieces around him in this game. Like, I know I'm going to be playing Justin Jefferson. Like, I know I'm going to be playing Aaron Jones, potentially some Josh Jacobs. Might add Love in as a play in my 150. Haven't fully decided, but there's no doubt Jaden Reed becomes a much better play. You talked about Dobbs on FanDuel at 5,100. Like, that is very, very cheap for a guy like Dobbs. So this overall game becomes appealing. Both running backs are just into that mix of the guys we talked about. Probably the ownership we're showing, 5 to 10 range. Probably Aaron Jones maybe showing a little bit more, but you're going to be able to get overweight. All these ownership numbers are now coming down too, by the way, with Cam Akers into the equation. Cam Akers is going to get a good chunk of ownership. So all these running back numbers that we're talking about are just going to come down a little bit more because Akers is now in the mix. Another perceived cheap play, cheap value at the position. So definitely in on the Aaron Jones stuff, maybe some Josh Jacobs. Like he's, if they have a lead, they're going to use him a ton. So the overall game becomes more appealing. I think it's a very, I don't want to say sneaky game. I guess maybe sneaky because there's no one's getting a substantial ownership. We know a couple games that are going to get the ownership: Washington, Arizona, Cincinnati, Carolina. The Houston Texans are going to get some ownership as a team. The Jaguars won't on the other side, but this comes in as a game that I think could be. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day if this is like the winning game, to be honest with you.
Well, I think this, if it's true, and please, other people in chat or one of you guys fact check me, but if that's true, yeah, that is definitely a boost. We talked about it pre-show. He was questionable. I mean, I'm good. The thing with Jair, like he did shut down Jefferson. The safeties are always over the top. If they leave anybody out on the island, I don't care who the name is, primetime, Deion Sanders, no. Jefferson's cooking them. It's easier to play receiver than D. Maybe that's a hot take for some out there, bringing up an old man name, but it's always safety help, it's scheme. Two good defenses. Vikings have been absolutely awesome to start the year. Packers young, fly around as well. So, yeah, go ahead, Hoop.
My boy, man, I'm not going to forget this one all season long. My boy Danny, I shit on his Vikings week 1. He's meeting up if the Lions and the Vikings get in the NFC Championship game. And, man, I have to take a step back because your team, probably the most impressive team, I'd say, to start the year. I mean, most surprising team for sure. So I shit on your Vikings. I will apologize every single week you come in here and post about your Vikings. I owe it to you. And, yes, if they get to the NFC Championship game, we're definitely getting together and watching that puppy.
Hey, one other note too is Addison's back this week, which I think helps. Jefferson, and he's dirt cheap. 5,100 on DK. I think that's a big thing. The thing I like about these guys coming back from injury is, it's so early in the season. If there was any concern that he could re-aggravate his injury, I don't think they would push it. So I think he's fully healthy, and he'll probably never be this cheap on either site. So I don't mind some Jordan Addison as well. I should have said that earlier.
Hey, that's the hand play right there. A little 1%er that no one is on, Jordan Addison. When I'm bumping Jefferson, jamming Jefferson and Jones, Addison goes to the box twice. That feels too good to be true. Yeah, I like that call. Very, very low owned. Unlikely to play sweet. So it does sound that's confirmed. Thank you, Kevin, for dropping that news. Definitely a bump to Jefferson. Addison just hurts the secondary for the Packers. But regardless, it's going to be a low owned game. My favorite piece is Jones, Jefferson, Reed. I do not see myself playing too many of the quarterbacks personally. Before we get to the next game, another just 2-second timeout. 730 people in here watching. First, really want to thank each and every one of you. There was one person watching the show. Us three are not sitting here having fun right now Sunday morning. Appreciate all of you. All we ask from you, like button goes a long way. Subscribe button as well. Bringing you shows on this channel pretty much every single day helps us out very much, so we appreciate that. Next game, I'm going to go to you in this one, Hoop. Texans and the Jaguars. Texans coming in as 5.5-point favorites. Third highest total on the slate, sitting at about 44.5. This will be updated. We talked about it. Mixon is not playing. 5,300 Cam Akers slides into the starting role. He got there last week from a boo-boo catching touchdown, but even got there is kind of pushing it. Like, you tell me he gets 11 this week with how good running back is, I don't think you need it on this slate. Najee, mispriced on DK, we'll get there. Chuba's cheap. Brian Robinson, the Aaron Jones. Running back is so loaded, so he's going to be in play, no doubt about that. He is going to get some ownership, but it's not like a slam dunk play by any means. So I want you to start on the Akers side. Nico's getting a lot of love. Diggs coming off the big game when everyone played Tank and Nico last week. And then other side with the Jags, just talk about all this Texans and Jags stuff.
Yeah, the Texans stuff definitely interesting. I just talked about how the Vikings have probably been the most surprising team in the NFL. The Texans have been one of the more disappointing. I mean, come on, who the hell did they get smoked by last week? I'm drawing a blank.
The Vikings. Brian Flores just lit them up.
The Vikings, yeah. Just absolutely poured it on them.
Hey, old man, you guys out there, 40-year-old old man forgot last week already.
Imagine that. Maybe the nickname is fitting after all. You have to imagine they get something going through the air today. It didn't work last week with the Cam Akers thing. It has to be a CJ Stroud day today. It just has to be. And it's kind of nice in terms of stacking where you have a wide receiver out of the mix and Tank Dell. So, I mean, if you're playing this, you can go to Nico. And I actually like Diggs quite a bit. I mean, Nico is going to get massive ownership. The discrepancy between the two is going to be higher. It's going
to be bigger for sure.
Yeah, we're showing 20 for Collins. He probably is.
It's like 25 and 12.
Yes, he's going to double them up, I think, in terms of ownership. Give me Stephon Diggs today in a big. I'm playing Nico too. Don't get me wrong, but I think like Diggs is a really, really good play. Dalton Schultz, love at the tight end position. CJ Stroud, I love at quarterback, and then Cam Akers. I mean, I will reluctantly have him in my player pool today because he's going to be lower owned than he probably should be in this situation based on the late news. So it's an easy offense to attack. I mean, Stroud, the wide receivers, tight end, and then you can also get Akers. Jaguars, gosh, they're bad. I mean, they're terrible. I mean, they're just not good. I hope Gabe Davis is out. He's questionable, and I don't know if there's been any updates, but
I thought he was expected, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, now that you said that, I think you might be right. It's not huge or anything in terms of movement, but I'd prefer him to be out. So then I'd feel better about Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk. I think they're both in play, especially in those Texan stacks. Obviously, you want something on the other side to push the pace. You don't have to have a run back, but if I'm playing a lot of Texans, I want some Jaguars in my player pool. Christian Kirk at 5,600 on FanDuel stands out as a strong value. I mean, that's a cheap price tag for a guy like Christian Kirk. Again, it hasn't worked out well this season for anything Jaguars related. I mean, they look terrible. Trevor Lawrence looks awful. But Thomas Jr., Kirk, I think in play, and then Strange as a cheap tight end on DK. But it just feels it's going to be. I think CJ Stroud goes off today. I think it's a really good spot for Stroud and the passing attack for the Texans.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, I don't really have too much more to add. I'm definitely going to be playing a good amount of Akers. Hopefully, people built their lineups last night, maybe didn't know, and comes in a little lower owned than it should. 5.5-point favorites at home, it's a better spot than it was last week. And they get up, they pound the football. He can be in for a big game. I'm definitely going right back to Stroud. Nico, Diggs, you definitely can play Akers in there as well. I don't even know if I want to play freaking Dusty Dalton Schultz, though. I keep saying, tight end's awful. You can play him with your quarterback, and he gets me no points every single week. So really,
he's getting the job done for us today. Yeah, I asked you, man. Tight end sucks. They're down a wide receiver. He's doing something today.
All right. I'll keep him in the pool for who?
Hoop call right there. I like that.
He has to. He just has to, man. He just has to do something today. It has to be something, and better than what it's been.
I hope so. But Jaguar aside for me, really just Brian Thomas and Kirk. I'll use them as run backs in Texan stuff. I think both very, very solid plays at their price tag. Don't break the bank. Ownership's in check. Oh, I should say Strange too. I like Strange. Back-to-back 9 pieces. DK, 6 targets, 5 targets. You fall in the box. Tight end, I think it goes Goddard if people want to spend up and, in quotes, spend up. And otherwise from there, it's just fully punt, get away as cheap as you can. Strange is in that pool for me, and then fill out the Jeffersons, the world, etc. So that's how I think tight end is. 10 definitely could be enough at 3,100. Texans, Jags, what are you doing in this one, Ham?
Yeah, I'm with Hoop on this one. For the Texans, obviously I love CJ Stroud. I'm not a believer in Cam Akers. I mean, he's on his 3rd team in 2 years. Couldn't win the job in LA. Couldn't win the job last year in Minnesota. He's just not very good, and I think they know that. And I think they have 2 bona fide wide receivers that you can stack with CJ. I think Dalton Schultz is a great play. He played every snap last week, 96% of the snaps in a blowout. I mean, Hoop said it. I mean, no Tank Dell. I mean, he just has to get 2 to 3 extra targets and maybe fall in the box. So I'm in on this passing game. for this Texans. And then on the other side, like I'm all over Christian Kirk. I mean, Christian Kirk for his role, 10 targets last week. Now, granted, they were down the entire game, but he had 10 targets. Brian Thomas Jr. had 9 targets. At those two prices, I like both of those guys. Hoop last year loved him some Trevor Lawrence. I remember from last year. No, not really. But I mean, I just think those guys are going to be trailing. I mean, it was the end of the game last week, and they're running Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas at the end of that game on Monday night. Like, they're going to play these guys. They stink. I mean, I hope. Were y'all saying Gabe Davis was going to be in or out? Because I think
he's in.
He's in.
I think he's expected to play.
Yeah, I mean, he sucks. Not that I'm playing him. I'm just saying if he was out, then I think we would even get better targets for Thomas. But I think Thomas and/or Kirk are fine in Texas and Texas stacks. Absolutely.
I like it. Yeah. So Olave and Kamara are active. A lot of stuff like GoClex and Mixon's out. We know this will be updated. That's what we're talking. The Cam Akers stuff. Title say bagel. That's how you know you're from Wisconsin. I don't know if I'm saying it weird, but there you go, Jake. Always in here, so I will answer that one for you. Let's keep it rolling. Again, appreciate every single one of you watching. Man, no better day waking up. Little free money Sunday action, football on the TV all day long. Good day to make some money. Dalton Schultz hopefully can do it, and maybe a little 1% Addison I'll have to bump up for Ham. I'm going to start. Go for who? What do you say?
Oh, I do like that Addison call. I mean, he's a play dude. I mean, you got to be unowned. I'm currently.
He will. Yeah, he's unowned.
Here we go. I'm playing Schultz and Addison on a team. I got to find the other 7 guys.
Hey, I have to start with you on this one, Ham, because you did have a tweet saying there was a running back getting some ownership you might not like much. I think it might be in this game, so I'm going to let you take away Colts and Steelers. As you can see, ownership, nothing on the Colts side, very low team total. Steelers side, though, there's a running back looking to get a little bit of ownership. Is he the one you might not like much?
Yeah, I'm going to get to him in a minute, but I know you're a big Anthony Richardson guy, and I do not think he's a good NFL quarterback, but hey, he can run it, he can pass it, maybe throw some bombs like he did in week 1 at sub 2% title. I know you got to be loving that. I mean, this Steelers defense is very good. They're missing some offensive linemen, so maybe he's on the run a little bit more today. JT's always in play. I think he got, 20 points last week? It was nice. Michael Pittman Jr. would be one that, $5,800 for Michael Pittman, $59 on FanDuel. That's the cheapest we're going to see on him. Now, granted, he's had a terrible start to the season. You're a big best ball guy, though, Title. He was going, second, third round this year?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he's got tons of upside, tons of, 12 to 15 target type potential. So I don't love the Colts, but certainly could understand if you wanted to play them. And then on the flip side, man, everybody all week, they just can't wait to play the Steelers. They're not for me, guys. Najee Harris, 23% ownership. No, thank you. And I'll tell you the reason why. And it starts on the sidelines all with Arthur Smith. I mean, literally every week last year, it was like, oh, this is Bijan's week. This is Bijan's week. And that guy just finds a way to mess it up. I can't play Najee Harris at 23% ownership. I don't think he's a very good running back. He may get 25 carries, but he's going to get, 80 yards. His touchdown prop is plus 110, which we have guys much better than that. And a chalky Najee Harris, who may disagree, but he's not for me. I can't do it, guys. I'm full fade in Najee Harris today. Same thing with Justin Fields. He's not the same runner he was, or they don't let him run like he did in Chicago. I think this Pittsburgh offense is not very good in a team that I'll be fading today.
Well, I always love the hot takes. And again, running back so loaded, I cannot complain about that one bit. My quick thoughts, Colts are complete fades. I do like A-Rich, but man, this Steelers defense is one I respect greatly. A-Rich has just not looked great this year. Getting Downs back does help, but I think he's going to be under constant pressure all day. Not someone at 6'3" I'm going to go to. I'm going to go to none of these Colts. Steelers side, though, Najee, of course, getting the ownership, but I'm playing Fields again. Played him last week. Did well. It was just hard to pair with him for the field stuff. This week, really easy. George Pickens at 5'7", way too cheap. Look at this Colts defense. C+, D+. This is a bad defense, a hurt defense. And this is the tight end right here. Kind of like we said, Schultz, if you're going CJ, I am definitely playing some Pat Freiermuth at 3.9 when I do go field stuff at bad tight end position. So that's all, man. Tyler talking Pickens scores today. Lay the house. Fields is going to win some of the millie. You get leverage off of the Najee stuff. I think I don't know. I'm going to throw it to you on this one, Hoop. If you are playing Fields, can you play Najee with Fields, or would you rather get all the leverage against him? And then are you even playing Fields? Are you doing anything in this game?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you run the stuff, and Fields is showing up on FanDuel specifically under 7K. I don't know. I'm conflicted. As of now, like, I have him in my player pool on FanDuel, but I'm not like tied to playing Justin Fields today. Like, I just still think he sucks. Like, they're doing a good job managing him for sure, and they've been successful winning games. Again, as of now, I have some of Fields on FanDuel. I'm not going to like force it out. So if I have some of him, I'm fine. But people it just seems like very excited about the Steelers offense today, and I just don't get it. It's still like this.
How bad the Colts are in a dome.
I get it. But the
total, like, he's terrible.
Yeah, it's a low total. Like, it's not like this is a really good spot to deploy the Steelers. I don't know. Like,
what's your Najee take, dude?
Colts, huh?
What's your Najee take?
I'm getting there. The Colts play at like a very like slow pace too. This could just be like a 17-13 game or something. I don't know. I definitely am not playing any Colts. I think the Colts I have like zero interest in. Like, I don't know. It's just not all that exciting. The Steelers defense is good. So the Najee stuff, I'm gonna, I think, cop out maybe. So you're not gonna like this one. I'm just gonna let the optimizer take the wheel. Whatever I get on Najee, I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with them. So I guess I don't have. It's not the ringing endorsement that I made last year on Najee. The only time I played him in like 3 seasons, he absolutely went off. Worked out very, very well. I don't have the Najee take today. Again, I guess I'm copping out. Like, I'm just like, whatever happens with Najee.
Najee or Chuba? Najee or Chuba?
For sure. Chuba for sure. Not even close. Like, definitely Chuba over him. A lot of these guys we talked about over him. So honestly, I'll probably end up, if I do play him, I'm probably going to end up underweight on Najee. So is that helpful at all?
Yeah, that's good. And him and Chuba are basically the same price on both sides.
I think it's night and day. Like, Chuba for sure. I love Chuba today, and again with Najee, he's a cheap running back. He's going to get all the work. He sucks. He's not good. He's going to have to find the end zone. So if I get some, I'm cool with it. But I can't imagine being overweight on him. It's going to be probably around the field or below, I'd say.
Cordell Patterson. Probably not. I mean, people are asking about it. Like, it feels like that'd be more of a showdown stuff than a 12-game main slate. Obviously, why we're talking about it, no Warren. Patterson did get on the field last week, and eye test-wise, I think Cordell Patterson is probably one of the more underrated football players that I've seen in the past couple of years. Always runs hard, strong, big, finishes runs. Kind of surprised he doesn't. I mean, he was with Arthur Smith last year, so not surprised he didn't get much work. But either of you two on a main slate, is it just an early slate or is it nothing? Because for me, I'm not playing him on a 12-gamer. But what about you, Ham?
What, on the Steelers?
Cordell Patterson in specific.
That's the thing why I don't like Najee. Last year we had the same thing, and Tyler Algier was getting 10 carries, 15 carries, and like Najee, I don't think is just going to bump up in carries just because Warren's out. I think he gives those to Patterson. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a 150 type play. Patterson, max it out at maybe 3%, and you're going to be, 2% higher than the field. But I'm not getting to Patterson. I'm not playing 150, but I'm not getting to Patterson on the teams that I'm playing. Yeah,
even with me that I am playing 150, I probably won't even get to Patterson. And yes, that's part of the reason plus 110 is touchdown prop, as we saw last week, getting the goal line. Fields ran it in instead of Najee, which is part of the reason I like the Fields Pickens for Iron Moose stuff. Really, really cheap, allows you to jam in spends in a dome. I just think it's the pace play is definitely a concern. I mean, as you can see, we have pace on here as well. F pace, not good at all, but at these prices, one Fields to Pickens touchdown, 5 for 50. That gets there at the price. So any final thoughts, Hoop, on that game? Otherwise, if not, take us into Broncos, Jets. Gross.
Yeah. With the landscape of the running back position today, Cordell Patterson, and that's got to be like the worst possible click on the slate. We have like 20 legitimate running backs today to play, and like not Cordell Patterson. That's just an unclickable name today.
Go bet his props, as Tambo would say. Go bet his props.
Yeah, go bet his props. Good call.
Yeah.
One last thing, sorry, but Calvin Austin at 3,300. I mean, he had a good week last week. Ben Jackson got beat up. I don't know I don't think that's the worst play. I don't know if Van's in or out, but he either missed or left early. Calvin Austin had a long catch and run. So I don't think him at 3,300 is the worst play.
Yeah, much better option than Cordero Patterson. Like I'd be in on him as a cheap wide receiver for sure. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, Broncos Jets.
Yeah, Broncos Jets. I'm not playing any Broncos today. We have some good spots. I'm not playing anyone on this offense like whatsoever. On the Jet side, probably just Breece Hall, to be honest with you. Garrett Wilson, I don't know, just don't love him really. He's just not the same guy in this offense. I mean, they have Breece Hall and Braylon Allen who are very involved. Allen gets, pass catching work. Rodgers is clearly going to continue to get his boy Alan Lazard involved. Mike Williams, they're going to continue to get him more involved. He's just not going to get the amount of work Garrett Wilson that I think it takes to pay off at the wide receiver position in the player pool, but probably don't get a ton of exposure. So really in this entire game, it's just Breece Hall for me for the most part.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I'll say Jets defense. People usually don't like overspending in quotes, but try and get out as cheap as possible. Breece Hall, Jets, little correlation there. They get up 14 and Bo Nix has to drop back 40 times. That would be bad news bears for them. So, and then, Garrett Wilson, 8%. This could even be like 4%, 3%. Yeah, I mean, at that number, with how highly touted he was preseason, Rodgers just locks in on him. I'll maybe have some, but not a game I like outside of those Breece, Garrett Wilson, Jets. Jets D. What about you, man?
Yeah, very similar to you all. The only thing that I would say, I think Garrett's a good pivot off of Breece. I mean, he's going to come in at a fraction of the ownership. And you said it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers just force feeds this guy the football. I mean, they got him that touchdown last week where he, threw it to him in tight coverage. So he has ability. I don't think the Broncos can keep up with him. I know they did good last week. Definitely not playing any Broncos. I did write up Tyler Conklin, though, in my FanDuel slate plan. I don't think that's the worst play. He got 6 targets last week, 6 for 6 for, I think, 98. He was humming 38. Was that 38 or 36 on
36 on DK.
Yeah, and the reason I like him is the Alex Singleton, starting middle linebacker for the Broncos, is out with an ACL. They gave up 7 catches on 8 targets to freaking Cade Otton last week. They're not very good against the tight end, and Conklin can pay that price tag off pretty well. And when the Jets offense was rolling last week, and Conklin was a big piece of that, so don't hate him as him and or Wilson as a pivot off of Hall. But Hall's obviously a great spot too.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense. Conklin right there. You talked about it, really low owned. Wilson, both pivots. Breece will get ownership on both sides for sure. So like that call a lot. Let's get to the next game, the last game at 1 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, it's a good one. 1.5 point favorites are the Eagles, sitting at about a 43.5 total. I'm going to throw it to you right on this one, Hoop, because I think there's a running back play you might like in this game. Mr. Saquon Barkley has had a pretty good start to the year, I'd say. But the main talking points, wide receiver. Jahan Dotson is your wide receiver 1. I did not think Philly had that in mind coming into week 4. No A.J. Brown, no Devontae Smith. Absolute free is this receiver room. Paris Campbell, min price. Jahan Dotson at 5K. The actual wide receiver 1, though, Dallas Goedert, 5.1K, will definitely have some ownership. Start on the Eagles side. Are you playing Hurts? Then get to the Buccaneers side. What are you doing this one?
Yeah, I'm going to play some Hurts today. And, obviously when someone loses their top 2 wide receivers, it's usually not a good thing. But, I think there's a chance that we see Hurts run a little bit more today. He's obviously, if you play Hurts, you want him running the football. And I think with those wide receivers out, I think there's a chance for him to run a little bit. It's not like he doesn't have guys to throw the ball to. I mean, he'll throw it to Goddard a ton. Goddard's legit. He'll throw it to Saquon a ton. So I think it's actually, for me, I'm kind of boosting Hurts a little bit more with those wide receivers out, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's kind of where my head's at. I just think he's going to be low owned because those guys are out lower owned. No one's going to want to play him without A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I think he runs a little bit more, and I think he still has guys that he can pass the ball to. So I'm in on this offense. Dotson, I'll play some of. Paris Campbell. I mean, anytime you see the top 2 wide receivers from a team out, the next guys in line are usually going to be mega chalk, and just not seeing it with Dotson or Paris Campbell. So I'm in on all the Eagles stuff. On the Bucs, it's pretty simple with them. It's, Evans, Godwin, and you can play Otten as well. So another spot that I kind of like. So I'll be in on this stuff, but definitely more so on the Eagle side. I like all these guys to some degree. And again, I'm kind of bumping my Jalen Hurts exposure with AJ Brown now out as well, which is, I guess, a little bit weird.
Yeah, but like you said, 13, and 8 rushing attempts in the first 3 games for Jalen Hurts. That's not a number you see very often at the QB position. 35-point upside, which very few QBs, I think, really have on this slate. So the problem is, Ham, if you do play Hurts, who are you pairing him with? Goddard's the obvious one. Any hot takes in this wide receiver room? What you doing with Saquon? Expensive? Really on FanDuel. I mean, man, 8K, it's expensive on DK for sure, but 9.7K on FanDuel. We were hooping on the Cash Show Friday. Shout out FanDuel. It feels like probably a couple of years now they have had harder pricing. When McCaffrey was up at the 11Ks last year, DK kept them down. FanDuel, tough pricing. So can you get Saquon at 9.7? And then Buccaneers side, Godwin, the only one we have in cash consideration. Langley said people sleeping on Mike Evans. You see, Eagles defense, not great. Neither is the Buccaneers. So what do we have this one? Purple, target game. That is how we have this designation. Is this a game you are targeting, Ham?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Dallas Goedert at 5,100 on DK stands out. I like him much more on DK than that $7,500 price tag on FanDuel. So definitely don't mind him on DK. But, Hurts really struggled last week on the road, and he had Devontae. I know he went out with an injury. I just can't do it. I'm going to disagree with Hoop on this one. I'm not going to get to any Jalen Hurts. Saquon, I think I do like Saquon. The only reason I like Saquon is I don't think he'll be 13% owned on FanDuel, especially at that price. I think that's way too high.
Way low. It'll be way lower than that.
Yeah. Way lower than that. So if you wanted to get contrarian, I wrote him up as well, is that, I do expect him to get a few more catches. I mean, he's obviously a very great back in this league, and they're going to have to throw it to somebody, and it's not going to be Johnny Wilson or some guy named Danny Gray. I mean, it's going to be Saquon Barkley. So I'm not playing any Hurts, and it would be a Saquon or a Dallas Goedert. Then on the flip side, Bucky Irvin was going to be a good play. Then he had a midweek, I think, hamstring or something. If you wanted to play Rachaad White, who was more of a pass-catching running back, I mean, he could certainly rack up the catches. I don't love it. The coach was talking about getting Mike Evans more involved this week, so I wouldn't hate Evans to kind of get back on track, and that's a good price. That's the best price we've seen on Evans in a while. Godwin is kind of high, but he's y'all talked about it on the Cash Show this week, is he's kind of matchup proof in terms of he's going to get 8, 9, 10 targets regardless of the situation. So more of a DraftKings play just based on his level of play. But and the last thing is I don't hate the Bucs D. I like the Saints D last week, and I like the Bucs D this week. Hopefully Vita Vea comes back, because I think the Eagles, where they'll shine, would be on the ground. And if he's back, he's obviously a run stuffer. Lane Johnson left last week's game early with a concussion, so we'll have to wait and see on inactive. But I don't hate the Buccaneers defense in this one, 2,700 against a team that I won't be playing.
Yeah, great breakdown. I'm definitely not messing with the running back room on the Bucs side. Bucky Irvin with a hamstring earlier in the week. Rachaad White, we had a late week illness that he was questionable and now is expected to go, but like 72% of snaps, 33. I expect this number to close as the year goes on. I've said it now for multiple weeks on the Sunday show, and Coach Speak has even come out a little bit as well that Bucky Irving's look good. I think it'll be more closer to a split than it is 72-33. My two favorite plays by far, though, Chris Godwin on the Tampa side, Dallas Goedert on the Eagles side. Not a hot take, but both of them should lead the team in targets. Godwin in the slot, man, just back in the slot this year, more so than he was last year, has been absolutely money for his production. Always can get to Saquon too, but that is a big boy price tag, no doubt about that.
Hey, Hope, any or title, any love on Dallas on FanDuel, where he's elevated in price, top price tight end? You guys like him on FanDuel?
Absolutely, because if he does at how bad that position is, if he did what he did last week, he could be 9K. Like that, it's just been such a bad position all year. Someone that has the upside as he actually showed last week, I'm good overspending at that position and plenty of value, like we talked about in the slate too. So I do like overspending there too.
Yeah, love it. I mean, it's a weak position. I mean, he could really just dust the field today at tight end. I mean, tight ends haven't really been producing all that much this year. Good game from him. You might just absolutely need it. So I'll definitely be forcing him in on FanDuel. And FanDuel's done a great job with the pricing, like you guys talked about. The Saquon thing is the only guy that's up there at 97. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 5% owned or something on FanDuel now that we have another cheap guy in the mix. So just wanted to touch on that. 97 Saquon on FanDuel, I think, is a phenomenal tournament play.
Yeah, I like it. Vita Vea is playing. Lane Johnson is out per Rappaport. Thank you, everybody in the chat, giving us updates. I think we should be mainly good with the injury stuff, at least the skill position players. The Mixon was what we were waiting on most. We got that news. Jair's out, pretty big on the defensive side of the ball, but we got 4 games left in the afternoon slate. I always like give me at least 4 minimum. I do not like the 3 and less in the afternoon. 4 games, 5 games in the afternoon spot. A great fun 4-game slate, offers more late swap ability. The 2 games on Monday, which we have tomorrow. Just a perfect schedule, I think, with how they have it right here. So 4 games in the afternoon. Hoop, I will start it off with you. Big boy game. Cardinals, Commanders, highest total on the slate. Open at 45. Now sitting around 49. Cardinals at home, 3.5-point favorites. The 2 highest owned quarterbacks, more than likely, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, both a lot of rushing upside, but we talk about it all the time. You don't care about QB ownership because it never gets too crazily high. Daniels side, Scary Terry finally got back on track. Noah Brown stepped into a lot bigger role as wide receiver 2. Zach Ertz, talking point right there. Other side, no Trey McBride. So Elijah Higgins is the starting tight end at 3.1K. Marvin Harrison, Wilson, Connor, Murray. I'll just let you take this game away, Hoop. It will be popular at QB. Outside of that, though, as you see the skill positions, nothing's too crazy highly owned. So what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that last point you made is the most important. Like everyone looks at this game and says, "Oh, this is going to be the game that everyone goes to." And we talked about it. I agree. A lot of people are going to come to this game, but it's really just at the quarterback position. People are coming here for the quarterbacks, and yes, these guys are going to be the highest owned quarterbacks on the slate, and probably rightfully slow. I mean, we saw what Jaden Daniels can do. I mean, Kyler Murray obviously is a threat on the ground, but outside of those 2 in this game, there's nothing at crazy ownership. If it was any other week and Austin Eckler's ruled out, Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be the most popular guy on the slate, and just not the case. We're showing 18, probably right around 18. Like, to me, he's like should be like a 30% owned running back in this spot. We're just not going to see it because there's so many different options. And again, Cam Akers, this isn't factoring Cam Akers as a cheap play as well. So Brian Robinson Jr. is a great play. On the other side at the running back position, James Conner, I think, is a really good play. He gets all the work in competitive games. He gets 3-down work, he gets the goal line stuff, he gets the passing stuff. He's probably going to be 10% owned or something today. So one way to get a little bit different in this game is to play a guy like James Conner, who I happen to like quite a bit. Again, the upside is massive with a guy like James Conner. And the Washington's defense, yes, they won and beat Cincinnati last week. Their defense got absolutely gashed. And, that's a reason to like all these pieces. The wide receivers, Terry McLaurin obviously finally had the big game. Maybe found a connection with Jaden Daniels. Zach Ertz, I think, is a good tight end play. I mean, tight end to me is a weak position. Zach Ertz, you can kind of put in the old man category, and he gets the job done. He finds a way to just get open on
who's older.
I probably have Ertz by a couple years, I'm guessing.
Who's
Ertz
faster?
Probably Ertz, I'd assume.
Good answer. He's only 33.
I'm honest about it. 33. Okay, yeah, maybe he's a big fellow. I might be able to beat him in a race. Who knows? Marvin Harrison is finally looking good. You got Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson had it was a lot of targets. I know last week.
9 targets last week.
Yeah, and showing like not much ownership at all. 9 targets, hauled in 8. Like, man, that's definitely interesting. Greg Dortch, I think, is a fine option. But again, the main point in this game is it looks like the most appealing from a fantasy perspective. It probably is, But outside of the quarterbacks, nobody is getting substantial ownership. So a lot of different ways to go about playing this game. I didn't touch on Elijah Higgins. He is playable as well. Is he a wide receiver on FanDuel? Is that legit?
Wide receiver only on FanDuel.
Yeah. So not as appealing over on FanDuel as a wide receiver, but on DK, tight end 3,100, I think is a phenomenal play. But yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks are going to get ownership. Outside of that, like very easy to do a lot of different things in this game because of the lower ownership, I'd say, on the secondary pieces.
Yeah, great breakdown. James Conner is probably my favorite play in this game. Like people will go Kyler, Daniels, the passing attack. I like both Robinson and Conner, but man, the usage is just so good in close games, and he just can't be played at 65. Like Robinson at 6,100 can't be played. It's the wrong word, but 8% or something like that. With how good running back is, he can catch passes out of the backfield too. Another thing is, yeah, I don't mind the Kyler stuff. I don't mind either side, but without Trey McBride, I do think they probably go a little more 11 personnel this week. Greg Dortch plays more in the slot then. Maybe this snap share comes up a bit. Harrison and Wilson, easily the top two. And yeah, that Wilson price tag really stands out. So game's going to get some ownership, but there's a lot of pieces in the game. What are you doing with it, Ham? Someone said overstack. Any thoughts on that? Are you fading it, wanting off? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, definitely not fading it. And yeah, overstack was kind of my thinking. And, I brought up Hoops Millie win at the top of the show. This kind of reminds me of that where, hope to see another, what was it, Hoop, like 38-35, where these teams are just ping-ponging back and forth. I don't even mind either quarterback. If you're playing Kyler Murray, I don't mind stacking them with James Conner. Same thing with Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson. You're going to just literally lock up that red zone, rushing touchdown. So I think overstacking is the way to go in this game. Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, his target share has just gone up every single week. I mean, Hoop saw it live last week. 12 targets last week, another touchdown last week. Now you're taking out Trey McBride, a guy that's, consistently getting 5+ targets. I just think that, Kyler's going to look at him, and we got him at sub 10% ownership in a game that's A, got the highest total, B, it's in the 50s. I'm overstacking this game. I love Harrison. You said it, or somebody said it. I mean, this Washington defense, they gave up over 303 touchdowns to Baker in week 1. They made Danny Dimes a Millie Maker winner in week 2. Now they get a good offense in week 3. Last thing, I'm going off on this game, but there was a lot of meat left on that bone too. I mean, Terry McLaurin was wide open, and Jaden Daniels, he was open on a bomb. He threw like 30 yards over his head on that Monday night game. So, I mean, I think there's tons of meat on that bone with McLaurin. And I think that Commanders offense, it's Robinson Jr., it's McLaurin, and it's Ertz, and that's it. All those other receivers, they play like 30 to 50% of the snaps. So I think it's pretty concentrated and really on both sides. And then you got Higgins at 3,100. I mean, dirt cheap. I'm overstacking this game. I think you're going to have the winner, from this game for sure.
Yeah, I like it. My favorite plays are the running backs. I think you get a little leverage off the quarterbacks, but again, there's so many options that we talked about on both sides to stack it, to overstack it, all of that. But in games that I'm really not playing either quarterback, getting at least one of those running backs, hoping either of them can get 25 touches on the ground, slow it down that way, and maybe it goes under and you don't need the quarterback's receivers is the thought process behind that. 3 games left. Appreciate every single 800 people watching. If you're joining a little late, you haven't hit that like button yet, just do us a favor. It takes 2 seconds out of the day. Maybe gives you a little better chance to be on the shipper later this day. Start the day off right. Good mojo. Hitting that like helps us out a ton. Goes a long way. Subscribe button also helps right by the like button. Hoopster, going back to you in this one. Big boy spread. 49ers, Patriots. 10. I mean, man, these Pats are implied for 15 points. That is ridiculous. Niners, 10.5-point favorites. They themselves, though, one of the highest team totals on the slate. Something I like to look at a lot. Obviously, a very low over-under, but that's because one team isn't expected to score much. The other team's expected to carry the load. Right here, Debo will be back. There's Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, the absolute GOAT from last week. Kittle will be back as well. Jordan Mason at 6'7". I'm going to throw it to you right on this one, Hoop, because they're all back and healthy now. They're expected to win by over 10. Jordan Mason's the clear obvious play. Way too cheap still on DK. FanDuel did it right. But I mean, man, if you give Mason 25 touches in this spot and they win by double digits, 8,800 might be still too cheap. So talk Niners side first, and I doubt you're playing any Pats.
Yeah, out on the Pats, the only guy I would consider on the Patriots, and I don't even know if I have any of them, to be honest with you, is Demario Douglas. Like, he is just getting peppered. I believe it was the last game or 2
It was
games
last
ago.
because he complained, it sounded like, and then
9 targets. Yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah.
Ooh, hammer.
Play him 9 targets, 7 for what are you saying, Grave?
I was like, ooh, hammer. Yeah, he likes it. He's excited over there with the little Pop Douglas.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only guy, though. And then I don't know. It is actually pretty tough on the 49ers side. These guys are still clearly a little banged up, like Debo and whatnot. It seems like a spot where they will just like take a grinded out type game, give it to Mason like 27 times, get the hell out of here and win like, I don't know, 23-7 or something like that. So I don't want to go overboard on the 49ers stuff outside of Mason. Like, I'm going to have some Debo. I'll have some Ayuk and probably have some Kittle just because tight end is so weak. But, man, it just seems like a spot where they're going to feed Mason, just try to get the hell out of here and get an ugly win. So I'm going to kind of be playing it that way. So really it's most likely just going to be Mason's the only guy that I'll have a significant amount of ownership on in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Before I get to Ham quick, my thoughts, I will play some Purdy, and when I do, that's when I'm going to probably play Debo, 2 of Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. When I play them, if they do put up 30 points and blow them out and it's all through the air, yeah, all affordable price tags, all ownership will be in check, and they can get there that way. If I'm not playing Purdy, I like a lot of Mason, and I doubt I get to too much one-off of Debo, Ayuk, Kittle there, because I'm expecting them to control the game and keep it on the ground. So any Purdy love for you? I mean, actually, I'll let you. You're stroking Pop Douglas over there. You can talk Pop Douglas to start it off, DeMario that is, and then Niners side after that, Ham.
Yeah, I mean, listen, so they're implied to score 2 touchdowns. I mean, not saying that Pop's going to get them both, but he got 9 targets. I mean, we need 7 catches for 80 yards, and A, he's paid off, and B, anything over that, we're golden. So I think they're going to be playing from behind. I think they're going to have to force feed Mario Douglas. I don't think, and at $4,500, I think he's a great price. I wouldn't hate Ramondre as well as a dump off back. I know they have Antonio Gibson. I'm not touting these guys by any stretch and saying play them on all your teams. I say if you're playing 150, I don't think they're the worst. And then the 49ers are going to score 4 touchdowns, or they're slated to score 4+ touchdowns. So they got to come from somewhere. And last week, granted Debo and Kittle were out, but Ayuk was, breaking the algorithm of how much he was getting played and didn't do anything. I think he's in a great bounce back spot. Debo's back. I don't hate, Purdy, Debo, Ayuk, doubles in this one because they're going to score 4 touchdowns. And what if they get 2 apiece, from the receivers? Then obviously Purdy would get 4. I don't think it's the worst. I mean, they're going to score points and no one's going to play them. There's just no need to play the 49ers, right? But I think y'all talked about it all year last year. I mean, they got to score, and someone's got to get those points. Why can't it be Purdy and the 2 wide receivers?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be playing some Purdy stuff. With their implied total, with the ownership and the options you have when you play them, it's 3 clear ones for me. I'm going to be playing them. And when I don't, I'm going to be playing Mason. So the more I talk about it, like, I love the Niners today because I think they put up probably like 4 touchdowns, like you're saying. It's just you have to get it right on who scores them and how they do it. If it's not Mason, who I hope it is, then I hope it's at least 2 of them nuke with the Purdy stuff at low ownership. And you don't need to bring back, as someone asked, by any means. Pop Douglas would be my favorite. Ham mentioned Stevenson too, but you absolutely do not need a run back there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like both of those guys, but certainly don't have to play them. And I'm going to catch shit when they don't do anything. And you're going to say, oh, you touted Pop Douglas.
No, as long as Addison gets you here. I keep throwing the Addison on you and Schultz on hoops. So no one's going to be coming yelling at him. Everyone makes their own lineups, has their own decisions. We just have the content, the tools, and everything to try and help it up and put the pieces together. Hoopster, going back to you in this one. Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers. Another very similar one to last week, or last game we just talked about. Big favorites for the Chiefs, implied for a good amount of points like the Niners. The other side isn't expected to really carry their weight with the Chargers. I mean, I hate this Chargers team is going to be almost unplayable all year, in my opinion, with Harbaugh, run the ball 95 times, play defense, etc. Chiefs side, I don't know, man. I like the Purdy and stack stuff more than I like the Mahomes stack stuff, in my opinion. Kelsey's looked like dog shit. There is Worthy. Rice has looked the opposite of dog shit, though. Rashee Rice is the man, so I think you should start there because he's hashtag good, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, very good and too cheap. I mean, we talk about it on the cash show all the time. Like should be an 8K wide receiver. They shouldn't, put him below 8K. Again, FanDuel, much better job, has him at 85. That's appropriate price tag. DK 73, where his game fits DK scoring much better. It's just way too cheap. Phenomenal play, no matter what. So it's like, doesn't matter the matchup, doesn't matter the spot. If he's going to be in the 7Ks, like you just gotta play Rashee Rice. Man, this is painful. Tight end just sucks today. I just don't think there's many options. Like I guess I can't fully quit Travis Kelce, which is painful to say, but like, the 2 touchdown game out of him, it's not out of the realm of possibility, I guess. And he's going to be super, super low owned. I will probably play some Travis Kelce. It does not feel good, but it's just the nature of the position today. And then these Chargers, like you said, it's like an unplayable team, and like the opposing team, it really muddles up their situation as well, just because what they want to do, and it's not fun for fantasy to play this team or the opposing team. So really, for me, it's just going to be Rice and some Kelce because of how bad the tight end position is.
Ham, are you donating with Travis Kelce? Do you like your money a little more than Hoop? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and my daughter's a huge Travis Kelce fan too. Big Taylor Swift. I think Hoop's daughter is too. So
she bailed. My daughter now she's at the stage where she's too cool to like Taylor Swift. So we're done. Right. We're done. Thank God.
All right, so Hoop's going to have that Travis Kelce look on his face from Sunday night when he was at the Falcons. He just looked so dejected. But I will say this: so a couple things going for him. No Derwin James, which I think is big news. And 2, Andy Reid and Never Mahomes have talked about how they're trying to get him, they're trying to get him the ball. They're trying to feed him the ball. They just can't do it. So
because he can't get open. He's too slow.
Yeah, I agree. He's got that Zach Ertz speed.
Yeah.
I think Ertz is probably faster.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think Travis Kelce's any good anymore, and I think he's focused on things outside of football, and I can't do it. Rashee Rice, great play. The Chargers what I'll say about the Chargers is Josh Palmer's back this week, but they are missing 2 very good offensive linemen. I think the Chiefs D's didn't play in this one. And then if you wanted to have a run back, I do think Lab McConkey would be my favorite Charger. I think Quentin Johnston's getting a lot of pub just because he scored, I think, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, but McConkey playing close to 80%. I think in the slot, I think he can do some damage as a bring back, dirt cheap on both sites. I would have McConkey would be the only one. I see, J.K. Dobbins up there, but Harbaugh wants to play that smash mouth Big Ten type football, and it's just not working in the NFL right now. I mean, they're 2-1, so I guess somewhat it is, but yeah, for DFS purposes, it's not working is what I should say.
Yeah. For me, it's really just Rashee Rice or nothing in this game. Like, I'm not playing Mahomes all the way up there. I very rarely playing Count. Like, I'm just Rice, nothing after that. Chargers pound the ball. Rice gets you 8 for 100 and 1 or 2. And live that way. So if this game beats me, I will not be at the top. I wanted to shout out, absolutely, great call on this Go Collect. I was just doing this when Ham spoke. The activating your boost, you get 5 times a month. Assuming this is one of the days you play the most volume, definitely do not forget to do that. So shout out Go Collect on that. Last game of the slate. Again, every single one of you, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's wrap it up, Hoop. Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders. Very interesting spot here because a total under 40, which is not something you like to see much, but a pretty close spread. I think you can maybe this is just me, myself talking. I'll donate on this one after chirping you boys. I'm going to play some Deshaun Watson. I'm going to play some Amari Cooper. After that, the Judys, the Elijah Moores. I don't know. I'll let you talk me into that. But 5,400, that's how you spend up for Saquon. Spend up for Jefferson, etc. Maybe that's also how you donate your money. Other side of the ball, though, no Devontae Adams. So clearly, Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 1, too cheap. Trey Tucker, wide receiver 2, too cheap. Brock Bowers, 5,600. Another very good tight end play in the Zach Ertz range. And actually, I'm going to throw it to you on this, Hoop. If you already have interest in 3 pass catchers, do you just play Gardner Minshew at 52? It's gross, but I said Deshaun Watson, which is also gross. So what are you doing in this one?
Yeah, you just threw up some nasty shit. Like
now's your turn to turn me.
One of them I have slight interest in, and actually it's my final roster decision, and we're just going to settle it right now. It's the Deshaun Watson. So I got one spot left for a quarterback. It's either, and I have a feeling I know what you guys are going to say, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Deshaun Watson or Brock Purdy? Last spot. You each get a vote. Title.
Purdy.
Ham.
Yeah, I mean, I think Purdy's the call. Yeah,
I don't hate the Deshaun Watson stuff because you have
he
clear
can
guys
get like Fields last week. Like that's the thought process.
Clear guys he's throwing it to. I mean, Amari Cooper, like a 12 target game, like 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown is in the realm of possibility. So you have a clear target on his side, and then you have clear bringbacks on the other side, and Jacoby Myers, Tucker, and Bowers. It's cheap. You'd be able to play like some high-end wide receivers that we talked about that no one's going to be on. You'd be able to play some Saquon Barkley in the lineups where a lot of people probably go cheaper at the position. So I think it is in play. I don't hate it by any means. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to play these guys, Jacoby Myers, Tucker, Bowers. I think fine options. I'm not going to do the Minshew thing though. That's where I definitely am bailing. Like on the situation, I would do the Watson stuff. I will not do the Minshew stuff. So I'll bail on that part. But Amari Cooper, I think is a fine option. Watson, I think is a fine option. But yeah, it's a low total game, like you said. So you need the pace to move a little bit here. And it looks like based on what we have here, the pace of play for the Browns is pretty solid and not so solid for the Raiders. So we'll see what happens. But interested in the individual pieces here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often I usually have an interest in like a 37-point total and what came down from 40. And again, maybe that's just right away is telling me like don't stack it. If I do, just go Deshaun, Amari, pick one of these three guys, call the day. But it's in a dome, like you said. Without Devontae, the Raiders side obviously makes sense. Cleveland side, I want you to touch on the Cleveland side first, Ham. Like, can you play Akins and Deshaun stuff? They play a lot of 11 personnel, as you see here, with Judy, Elijah Moore, and Amari Cooper, all north of 80% of snap. They're going to be really low owned. I don't know, Ham. Or is that just donating money?
No, I actually agree with you.
Let's go.
Who must not be looking at our stack rankings? Since if you look in those stack rankings, there's one of these two teams that are in the top three on both sites, and it's not Deshaun Watson. So the Minshew mania may be But no, I mean, I think this game. I was surprised too. It's like what, a 38-point total. Which you typically don't want to play that. But, man, Andy Dalton looked amazing last week against this same Raiders defense. I think Deshaun Watson's better than him, and you don't have Max Crosby, and you have Amari Cooper, a guy that's going to get 10 targets. Jerry Judy, or Elijah Moore, I think are great spots. Then on the bring back, you got Brock Bowers, leads the NFL, I think, in yards and targets on the season for tight end. He's dirt cheap. He's the cash game play, I think, on FanDuel anyway. Jacoby Myers, another great price. Anytime you can get $5,400, cheaper price on FanDuel than you can DraftKings, I think you're always in play. And then Trey Tucker had a great game last week too, and that was with Devontae playing much of it. So I'm with you. I'm with you, Title. We talk about it, and we probably don't talk about it enough. But these late swap options, the game in the late swap window is Arizona, Washington. If you're behind, you're going to want to swap. In my opinion, you're going to want to swap to this game as opposed to any of the others. So I like this game. That may be donating money, but I've built some very good teams on DraftKings and FanDuel, stacking both of these quarterbacks and really overstacking this game because I think it has shootout potential. It's cheap, and you can get some high-end guys that project really well. And you just need this game to go off to skyrocket up that leaderboard.
Yeah, I like it. Raiders side, it's really easy to tell the story, like we said, with no Devontae. Brown side, they play a lot of 11 personnel. People are on the field. You have a rushing quarterback who's been so bad, but I can paint the picture in my head as well. And I love your comments on the 4 late games. Everyone's going to be going Cardinals, Commanders. I don't mind going Niners stuff if you need to pivot, and I don't mind coming to this game if you need to pivot to a lot of cheap options, 2v2s, 3v3s that offer you a lot of wiggle room. That's all 12 games. Ham, I'm going to throw it to you if you want to touch anything. Again, FanDuel does include the night slate. If there's any plays you want to touch on that, it's going to be a great real-life game. We'll have showdown content up, of course, big boy prize pools. NFL doesn't end when the afternoon games are done. DK adding the showdown format years ago, one of the best things they could have done. Had a bad main slate, can always get some back in the showdown stuff. But again, it is on the main slate for FanDuel. 2.5 point spread, good game, two good teams, good quarterbacks. It's expensive though. So are you doing anything with this one? If not, or regardless, final thoughts for the people before we get on out of here as well.
Yeah, Nades and I are going to do a showdown show. So I would say listen to that showdown show if you want to take on the Bills and Ravens. But last thing on Deshaun, he's had 20-plus yards rushing too in all 3 games. So I think he's a great spot. But no, appreciate you boys having me. Always enjoy talking with you. Thanks to all 800, 900 that have watched. Make sure you hit that like button, and hopefully you'll do it again this season before it's over.
Absolutely. Always good talking football. Any sport with you, Ham. Appreciate you a lot. Good luck tonight. Hoopster, good luck to you as well. Any final thoughts on the slate?
Yeah, good luck to everyone. I mean, it's a very solid slate. The running back position, like we talked about, just absolutely loaded, but that's kind of leaving some of those high-end wide receivers a little open in terms of ownership. Not many people are going there. So I think we see either Jefferson or Jamar Chase absolutely go off today. Yeah, so I'm going to be overweight on both those guys. And then I think Saquon Barkley has a key play over on FanDuel at 97. So those are 2 last little nuggets. Good luck to everyone, obviously, in your contest. And like Ham said, make sure you guys tune in to the show for the Sunday night football breakdown with himself and our guy, Big Nades.
Big Nades, baby. Absolutely. Good luck to everybody out there. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. As you see, all of our NFL content is up. Shiptimizer all loaded as well with our projections and ownership. Get in the Discord if you do join as well. Free Money Sunday, baby. Enjoy it. Week 4. Let's make some money. Good luck, Ham. Good luck, Coop. Great show as always. Good luck, every single one out there. Be safe. Enjoy the day. Let's leave with a little more money in our pocket today than we had yesterday. For Tambo. Shout out Tambo, too. For Tambo, Coop, and Ham. Good luck. Let's ship it.